Hey, hey, happy Sunday, Friendpreneurs. We are back on another episode of Friendpreneur Fiyah, podcast Unbound. And this is a virtual friendpreneurship experience. I want to cordially welcome you to this episode because I have a very special guest. But before I bring her on, I just want to tell you a little bit about friendpreneurship in case this is your first experience with us. So, Friendpreneurship LLC is a business support service that connects entrepreneurs through targeted networking and live storytelling experiences. This podcast, Friendpreneur Fiyah, Podcast Unbound, is one of those virtual experiences. I love to know the story behind a business, and that builds such a wonderful connection between the small business owner and the consumer. So, whenever I'm spending my money, I like to know the person that's selling it to me. I like to know more about them. I like to know their why. So that's why I host this podcast. Now, before we get to our guest, I also make a big deal about sponsorships because friendpreneurs who are friendly entrepreneurs, unafraid to bring others along for success, they also sponsor this podcast so that it's possible for me to do these interviews. So we have a very special sponsor who is a BFF VIP member of our Friendpreneur fam community. And I'm going to show you her information. Her name is Samantha Reagan. She is our perpetual sponsor. Samantha has a boutique spa. I go and get my massages from her once a month, and I highly recommend Samantha. She's in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where we are, and her spa is on Millbrook Road. Touch of Sam is the name of her business, and she offers not only massages, but she also offers some red light therapy, some skincare services, and other wellness services. So if you are interested in self-care and taking care of yourself, go see Samantha. I highly recommend her. touchofsam.com. You can go and schedule your appointment online. So don't wait. Take care. All right. Let's talk about our guest. All right. Now, I'm excited because when people learn about friendpreneurship online, I don't know them initially. They come through some ad that I put out or a post that caught their eye. I love that because it lets me know friendpreneurship's reach is getting longer. And it makes me happy because my guest tonight, Jonniqua, I just I don't know her personally. We have not shaken hands, but I do feel like I know her personally. So let me just introduce you. A small town girl who came from nothing, who's dedicated to making her life something and understands the importance of one's health. Jonniqua Nini Jackson-Hargrove inspires others to do the same as an influencer. Nini is going to enlighten us on how her content creation is tied to influence over health and financial literacy. So let's find out how her belief in the healing properties of plants drives her passion to take better care of herself and inspire and help others. All right. So I'm going to bring Nini onto the stage. Welcome, Jonniqua. What should I call you throughout this interview? Can I say Nini?
You can say Nini if you like.
Okay.
My clients, they call me Miss Anaya,
Okay.
Nini, Janiqua. I mean, it all depends. It's up to you.
Okay, I may use them interchangeably, but I feel comfortable, so I'm going to call you Nini for now. Tell us about yourself, Nini.
You pretty much, you help lead into it. I'm a
Yeah.
small town girl who came from nothing and is determined to making her life something. I'm a micro influencer for several brands and ambassador. More importantly, I'm the owner of Anaya Signings LLC, which is a business based in Virginia, but it operates worldwide. And I specialize in the importance of health and wellness, home buying, um, inspections, and notaries.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we've talked a little bit before this, and I know that you wear several hats. You've talked about some of them. We're going to delve a little deeper into each. But before all of that, the main thing that has brought us to a conversation is the influencer part, right?
Yeah.
So tell us who's hating on you because people think of influence in different ways. You know, some people love you, and then some people don't like you just because you have something that they don't. You know, so when it comes to influence, where are you in that journey? What's it like right now?
Everybody's not going to like you, and that is for everybody. You know what I mean? There's always this one person or somebody that may not agree with something that you're doing, but ultimately, I don't think anyone hates me. I think people hate plants, and to be honest with you, I was one of those people.
Mhm.
Before I got on my journey and wanting to take better care of myself, and finding better ways to take care of myself, and feeling strongly about plants and having an appreciation for plants,
Mhm.
I hated them. You know what I mean? I wasn't a big fan of taking care of myself. I wasn't a big fan of prioritizing my health. And I did not know the importance of using plants, the healing properties of plants, or just overall how they can be used to prevent sickness, disease, and build a healthy immune system.
Mhm. I'm curious
I'm a
about where that
small,
started.
I'm sorry.
Where that started. I would love to hear, when you decided that plants were, or when you discovered the healing properties of them, and how that, fed into what you do as an influencer.
Well, ultimately, my mom, she passed away when I was 19, going on 20 from breast cancer.
Mhm.
And my grandfather, who her dad, he passed away from lung cancer.
Mhm.
So last year, well, within the last 2 to 3 years, I started to, just be more prone to, my health. I'm getting, I wouldn't say older, but
More
I'm
seasoned.
aging backwards.
We'll go there. Yeah.
And I just found an interest in wanting to take better care of myself. But more importantly, I went for a mammogram, and they found swollen lymph nodes in my breast.
Mhm.
And I was very concerned. It could have potentially been cancer, and it turned out that it was not. But that was pretty much a wake up call for me to take better care of myself, just to learn how to prioritize myself, my health,
Mhm.
working out daily, finding ways to um, kind of substitute the way that I was eating, or my bad habits for that matter.
Mhm.
It just shed a lot of light. I had to ask myself, you know, growing up with health complications in my family, a lot of people, they're just like, well, that's what happens, it just
Mhm.
happens, or, we're born like this. But ultimately, you do have the option to change that cycle, to break that cycle, to get in front of some of the things that, you cannot control about your family history, and even health. And so,
Mhm.
going to the doctor and them shedding light on that, turned out that, I don't have cancer, but, I did do some genetic testing to see if I was born with the trait. Because
Mhm.
as the first daughter of my mom, I could have been born with the cancer trait, meaning it could have been
Yes.
passed down to me. It is not, but I
Good.
get my mammograms every 6 months, and I prioritize my health, and I regularly talk to my doctor. I have my own, like, the food that I eat, diet, I'm watching my figure and things like that. And I wasn't a fan of working out. So, it inspired me to want to find different ways to work out. So,
Yes.
that ultimately contributed to me being an influencer. A lot of people come to my social media to find better ways to take better care of themselves,
Mhm.
because a regular workout can be boring.
Mhm. Sure. Sure. So you keep it interesting, huh? Now, you mentioned to me environmental awareness is so very important. And we also talked a little bit about COVID and animals and whatnot. So, how does environmental awareness play into your interest in plants and how they benefit our health? How do you use plants to help benefit? So, just tell us about the overall role that plants play when it comes to you and how you influence others to take care.
Well, I mean, honestly, everything that I use is a plant for the most part. I mean, my
Hmm.
hair care products, my skincare products, my body wash,
Hmm.
from skincare to face to body to, I mean, everything, chapstick, and some of them I don't have paid partnerships with, or I'm not an ambassador for, but I use all types of plant-based products. If you
Hmm.
know me, then you know that.
Hmm.
Hairspray, lip gloss, chapstick, I mean, everything. But, more importantly, I noticed the change in global warming when COVID happened.
Hmm.
It took a toll on the environment tremendously. It took a toll on our crops, our food, the way we farm, the food that is being sold in the grocery stores. It
Hmm.
took a toll on livestock, the animals and things, chicken. Then you
Hmm.
start to hear about lab grown chicken and, certain animals dying off, and animals washing up on shores, across the nation,
Mm-hmm.
even, the world for that matter. We had two whales that washed up recently within the last year on Virginia Beach,
Mm-hmm.
and these are kind of things that I feel like society needs to wake up to, that took place, when COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
COVID changed a lot,
Mm-hmm.
for the world. And I felt like that is something that made me want to hone in on plants, and the importance of plants.
Mm-hmm.
We the common cold, the flu, those are normal sicknesses and diseases. But when COVID happened, it really changed society.
Mm-hmm.
Since when would we have to walk around with face masks on,
Right.
and be careful, when we go to pump our gas,
Mm-hmm.
because that is a perfect way to contract COVID, or
Mm-hmm.
to get it, So those are things that I took a better look at. And then having cancer and other health issues in my family, which, COVID kind of was a connector to. Like, I had a cousin who actually was diagnosed with COVID, and also pneumonia, and he could have potentially, got cancer,
Mm-hmm.
so those things, it made me hone in onto a look closer into plants, and the importance of plants, and even down to my vitamins. I take plant-based vitamins. I mean, everything is a
Mm-hmm.
plant. The only thing that, for me, I still eat meat,
Mm-hmm.
but I prioritize it. I used to love lamb and steak regularly. I eat it once a month now. But I feel like plants are a great way to aid in health and wellness, to
Mm-hmm.
prevent sickness and disease, or to build a healthy immune system.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, that's not something that the government focuses on nowadays like they should.
I agree. And when I see posts on social media about like holistic health and people are talking about plants and how they can benefit us as opposed to taking a pill for something, or being prescribed medication, those kinds of things usually are taboo. It's like they're telling you a secret that the government doesn't want you to know. Because, of course, we know big pharma, we know that the drug industry is huge and they have a stronghold in America. But if if you're smart and you do your research, you can find out the benefits of different plants and what they can do for you. And if you are able to be patient enough to do the research and find out how they work for you, it can be a mindset shift and a lifestyle change. So,
Yeah.
how long did it take you to actually make that change? Was it gradual, or were you like a cold turkey? You know what? From now on, I'm doing such and such. How did it go for you?
It was gradual. Honestly, my siblings, they don't follow suit. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
oldest girl of six, and I
Mm-hmm.
have two beautiful nieces and a nephew. And my dad and my brother, they're from Washington, D.C., but his side of the family is from the Carolinas, and they love to eat. They
Mm-hmm.
love Southern food, and when I go to visit my dad, sometimes he's very tempting. As a child, I love sloppy Joe. So one morning I went to visit my dad as an adult, and
Mm-hmm.
he wakes me up with sloppy Joe. And I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? Like, I can't eat this. He doesn't do anything but laugh at it. But I'm very serious when it comes down to my health nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
just because I feel like with the change, in the nation as it pertains to COVID and what it's done to the environment,
Mm-hmm.
but more importantly, with me aging backwards,
Yes.
it's just very important to me to prioritize my health,
Yeah.
to make sure that I stay in front of it and monitor what I eat. And so when I
Yes.
first went to the doctors and they found that I had swollen lymph nodes in my breast,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to do away with red meat for a while. And that was maybe about 5 or 6 checkups in. The doctor said, "You have a very good report. You're doing an outstanding job. You can eat red meat again." I mean, it was like a holiday for me because I used to
Mm-hmm.
love me some lamb and I used to love me some steak.
Mm-hmm.
So now I incorporate red meat in my diet once a month. So when I'm out with my friends and like for my birthday was at the beginning of this month, and I had steak for my birthday. That was one of my gifts. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
steak
So
for
it's
my
a treat
birthday.
now.
Right. It's a treat now, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, I mean, I was eating steak 2, 3 times a week, and
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with it, with eating red meat, but it's important that you prioritize those things, especially when
Mm-hmm.
it comes down to my family history.
Absolutely.
My grandmother, she passed away last year from congestive heart failure, which she was
Right.
born with,
Uh-huh.
and it's these are things that are common, in the Black community or even in minority communities. When I was away on travel, I actually came in contact with a young child who had recently been diagnosed with leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
I have a girlfriend who also suffers from diabetes and type 1 cancer. So it's these type of things are happening, more often, more rapid, and it's just important that we take the chance at prioritizing our health.
Yes.
We take it more seriously. My best friend that I mentioned, she inspires me because that's not something that she told me up front. We had been friends for several years, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I had no clue." I mean, she wakes up every day, and you wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, I was amazed. She
Mm-hmm.
inspires me.
Had she been
Because
sick?
she rarely she goes to dialysis. She prioritizes her health. She watches what she eats. But if she had not told me, I would not have known.
Oh, mm.
So, and
So
she's young. She's not an old lady. She's young. She looks
yeah,
great for her age. She's very beautiful. She has beautiful hair. You would not know unless she told you.
yeah.
But she's one of the people that inspired me.
Mm-hmm.
To take better care of myself as well. With the history of health complications and things that I have in my family.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to have people close to you, inspiring. And you mentioned priorities. Speaking of priorities, now we've talked about health and how plants play such an important role in your life. Let's talk about financial literacy, the priority of that, and how as an entrepreneur, you wear so many hats. Would you call yourself a serialpreneur? Because I mean, I see there's notary, real estate consultant, business consultant, property data collector. There's so many hats that you're wearing here. Are you addicted? Are you addicted to entrepreneurship? And
Look, I mean,
what's good about it? Why are you doing all of these things?
well, going back to COVID, I seen the need to shed light on these things. I
Mhm.
seen the need for me to bring awareness to these things. I feel like God instilled it in me to want to shed light on these things for my community. When you have a notary business, there's several services that you could put under your business. And, I know you said I wear different hats, but that's all a part of, a notary business. At the end of the day, there are several notaries that aren't just notaries. They're remote online notaries, they're inspectors, they're
Yeah.
my notary coach, he's a paralegal. I mean, there's so many things that you can do and add to your business as a notary. And the great part about the notary community is your business is what makes you you. You have so many people who operate their business, one way or another way. I mean, it's beautiful. I'm the person who the notary who helps. And the reason being is because of COVID. The way that I seen COVID affected the nation just inspired me to want to bring awareness to the importance of home ownership, financial literacy. Property data collecting is just essential to that.
Mhm.
Also, the need for a notary in general. When
Mhm.
COVID happened, a lot of people, their families, suffered losses, dealt with sickness and disease.
Mhm.
These things just became more common, than before COVID.
And notaries are needed. You
Absolutely.
mentioned there's a
The
referral
demand is
program.
Yes, the demand is high.
Uh-huh.
I actually implemented a referral program, because I am the notary that helps people to where I'm able to reach out to fellow notaries if I'm not able to tend to a client because I'm away on travel, or I'm also currently working with the client. It's just important to me to make sure that my clients get the help,
Mhm.
whether it's my client personally, or someone just that contacts me that needs a notary or needs
Mhm.
assistance,
Mhm.
and that also helps my client, but that helps my fellow notary as well.
That's where our visions intersect. When we are helping one another as entrepreneurs, the friendpreneurship spirit is all about seeing about each other. So if we have knowledge to share, wonderful, we should share it. If we have a circle of clientele to share, wonderful, share it. Why keep that all to ourselves when we can grow together? So I love that you have this referral program. Um, let's talk about the real estate consultant aspect of your business offerings. You say you're the connection between the real estate agent and the borrower and the seller. So, what's your ideal client like when you're dealing with real estate consultant part of your business?
In
Who
some
comes to
cases,
you?
people are not aware of the benefits of home ownership,
Hmm.
and I shed light on that. For example, they may come to me just inquiring, why should I buy a house? I love this apartment. I've been in this apartment for I don't know how many years. I've had clients like that. I've had people who say, I want this specific house.
Hmm.
It ultimately just depends on, the need
Hmm.
of my client, but the great part about it is I'm an advocate for home ownership. I'm an
Hmm.
advocate for the importance of home buying. I mean, people just don't know the benefits
Hmm.
to owning real estate, and also the resources that are offered. So the role that I play is I enlighten, my client on, the resources that are available to them by working with my local realtors to help them obtain housing.
Hmm. And some of the benefits that you mentioned for anyone who is renting right now and still, just kind of mulling over the idea of buying, you mentioned, of course, tax write-offs. You mentioned payments contributed to an escrow account can be used for financing. So people
Yes,
really have money in a place that they don't even know they have access. So it's
that
an
is
asset.
true. Yes.
Property gains, generational wealth. That's a
Yes.
big part of all of
You
this.
can pass your house down. You can actually be paid for having a house. A lot of people don't know that. You hear people talk about tax time because they have children.
Mhm.
Well, it's very similar when it comes down to owning a home.
Mhm.
Your home can also act as a dependent. At the end of the year, you can receive money for owning a home. A lot of people don't know that. Whereas the apartment that you're paying every month, rent on $1,500, $1,600, you're not going to be able to write that off. That is not a dependent.
Yeah.
So the good part about it is you can get some money. You can earn money back by having a home that you own,
Mhm.
that you're paying a mortgage on.
Mhm. It's an investment. So you get a return on investment by being a
Absolutely.
homeowner.
And
Yes.
like you talked about, the escrow accounts and even the equity, those
Hmm.
things can ultimately, connect you to other ways of financial gain. That's financial literacy is basically using the financial resources you have to obtain the financial goals that you want.
I love that.
So, the little house that you bought, could ultimately help you buy the big house that you
Hmm.
want, or help put your child through college because of the equity or the escrow account that was set up for your home.
I like what you said. I'm going to type this as a quote because I want to repeat it later. Financial literacy is using the financial resources you have to gain the financial
Resources
benefits,
that you want.
resources that you want. I love that. And a lot of people, especially younger people who are, just getting started in life, they sure maybe they went to school and they learned whatever it is that they're trying to go into their careers with, but financial literacy is not always a part of that learning. So, as an advocate, someone who cares, it's so
Yes.
important to share that knowledge. Knowledge sharing, I think people they just don't do enough of it, which is another reason I have this podcast. Because if I can sit on a call with someone who is willing to share that knowledge, just 30 minutes, and then disseminate that to whomever wants to hear it, then I have done my job. I feel like I've reached into a treasure box and just thrown the coins in the air. So whoever's going to catch them and wants them can consume that knowledge. So thank you for sharing.
Yes, they
There's
don't
two more.
actually. I feel they don't teach enough about financial literacy in schools.
Absolutely, they do not, and that's a crime. I think that's a sin and a shame
Yes,
because it actually prepares people to go into debt as soon as they get out of school. So not
absolutely.
knowing.
My thinking as well. My thinking as well.
Okay, so two more things that you mentioned: business consultant and property data collector. Just understanding your property's worth is what that data collection is about. You mentioned. Um,
Yes,
what else?
it's a property data collector is an inspector, very similar to an appraiser, not quite an appraiser, but very similar to appraiser. And basically, we are there to assess your home, your
Hmm.
property, its value.
Hmm.
You know, it's very important to me to make sure that I'm very detailed and thorough when completing my inspections, because you hear a lot of people, you know, a lot of my clients, they say, well, the inspector rushed through the inspection, or they missed this, or they missed that. And a lot of people, they put their hard-earned money into their homes. You know, there's a lot of people that they add value to their
Hmm.
homes, you
Hmm.
know, and a lot of times that can be overlooked when completing an inspection or an appraisal. So my
Okay.
clients, they often let me know that they're very grateful, you know, for me being very thorough and detailed, you know,
Yeah.
with my inspections, because, you know, a lot of people don't know that the value of adding to your home, you know, putting a roof on your home, a new hot water heater, you know, adding a deck, you
Yeah.
know, a second bedroom, or, you know, even a bathroom. I mean, these things that can actually add tremendous value to your home that could possibly be overlooked or
Mhm.
downplayed due to an inspection.
Right.
So as a property data collector, it helps me to better understand, you know, my client, and what it is, you know, that they may be in need of, and more
Mhm.
importantly, you know, the market. I
Yeah.
inspect all different types of properties. Slabs, crawl spaces, manufactured homes,
Hmm.
three-level dwellings.
Hmm.
I've inspected a property that had two properties on the property. Very
Wow.
lengthy inspection, but
Mhm.
it was pretty cool. You
Mhm.
know, recently I did an inspection for someone who actually built, you know, his home using the trees in the forest that surround the home. So it was
Oh,
very
cool.
impressive. He made
Yeah.
history, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and I also was able to help a Black gentleman who built his home from the ground up and was able to pass it down to his children.
That
You know, so
generation.
these are the things that I love to shed light on, you know, as pertains to even helping my clients.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you just plugged some things into my brain that made me think about when I was building a house and the inspector, we hired an inspector to come in and look at it from our point of view, to represent us as the builders and the investors. And then, of course, the bank, they may have a different interest. So they may, want to send their own inspector. It's a different perspective. So when you're talking about advocating for your clients, I would assume that you're looking for ways to show them value that they may not even know is in their home, right? Because they don't know
That's
to look
correct.
for it. Yeah.
That is
All
correct.
right.
You know, I have a very detailed eye. Like some of the
Mhm.
clients that I did an inspection today, and I was like, "Did you get new flooring?" She said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Well, you didn't mention that." You know, I pay attention to those things. I mean, those floors look pretty new. You
Yeah.
know, and those are the questions ultimately when you go out to do your inspection that you should be asking. Those are the things that you should actually be looking for.
Mhm.
You know, it
And
is
the
very important. You know,
yeah.
you know, with me owning property and things like that, I would want someone, you know, to take their time and be thorough when it comes down to my property as well. It's a
Mhm.
very sensitive subject to me. I take it very seriously, you know, when it comes down to my clients and helping them.
Yeah. And
Your
speaking
bang
of
for your
that,
buck, as they say, right? You know, you put your
absolutely.
hard-earned money into a home. You know, you don't want your appraisal or your inspection to come up short. So,
Right. Okay, so there's some information on your Instagram site that you wanted to highlight. I would love
yeah.
to share the screen so you can highlight that information. All right, so let me know when you see my screen. I already have your site up. Right. Stand by, people. Share and share and screen. All right. All right. Do you see your Instagram page?
I do. I
Great.
do.
Okay, now I'm going to go to here it is 60%.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about these statistics that you are sharing here.
I mean, it's mind blowing. 60% of the nation owns homes, yet they have tripled or quadrupled the funding from 2019 up until now.
Mhm.
And in less than 20 years, they'll be building houses on the moon. I can't say that this resulted from COVID, but these things are, they did get my attention. You
Mhm.
know, there's so many houses here on earth. You know, you ride down the street, you go to the grocery store, you go to visit a friend, there's at least one house that's for sale on
Mhm.
that road that you traveled. Yet they're putting houses on the moon. and only 60% of the nation owns homes, but there's 1.8 million of funding from last year to this year
Mm-hmm.
for the home budget, meaning the government is providing home buying costs, down payment assistance, closing costs. These are the things that they are funding and providing resources to for us to obtain housing.
Mm-hmm.
But
So as
the
a real estate consultant, I'm sorry, I was talking over you. Say that again.
but the percentage is so low.
Uh-huh.
60% is a very low percentage considering the amount of money that they have added even to this year's budget. 1.8 million more than last year. So it really it really became more important to me to shed light on these things for my
Mm-hmm.
community
Mm-hmm.
because you
So
have people who are spending mortgages for their apartments.
exactly. And that's the saddest part of the real estate market when people are not getting a return on the investment that they're making. How, as a real estate consultant, can you get this information to the people? For example, if there's $1.8 billion out there, people don't know where to get it. Is that where you come in? You know where the resources are?
That is correct. That is
Mm-hmm.
correct. I shed light on the government funding that is offered. The
Mm-hmm.
first time home buying programs that are offered. There are several states that allow you to be a first time home buyer more than once.
Huh.
And a lot of people don't know that. You can be a home buyer, in the state of Virginia every 3 years. And a lot of people don't know that, a first time home buyer, which
Really?
means you can qualify for funding every 3 years. Yet
Wow.
the percentage of people that own homes are 60%. And we'll have homes on the moon soon. So ask yourselves these questions.
Wow, that's fascinating. Now, every three, and I know every state is different with their laws, but I'm sure there are some stipulations in there that people just have no clue even to even ask about, because if it says first time home buyer, you're taking that literally. Nobody's thinking to say, okay, well, in 3 years, let me check and see if it's still true. So I'm glad that there are people out there with that information to share, and you are not afraid to share it. Thank you.
New Mexico is also another state that allows that as well.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing over there. Um, Let me make sure. Close this window. All right. So I want to know a little bit more about. Hold on, Anaya. I called you Anaya. Speaking of that, tell
That's
me. I
okay.
said I was going to do it interchangeably, but is Anaya your middle name?
No, actually, it's a Hebrew term
Uh-huh.
in the Bible that means brother God has answered.
Oh,
And again, it just kind of goes with the theme of when COVID happened, I seen the need for a notary. I seen the
uh-huh.
need for the importance of shedding light on the things that my business sheds light on.
Okay.
It's not
So
it's
that's
not a name that is specific to me or anything like that, but I am a firm believer in God.
mhm,
And if it was not for the Lord, I don't know where I would be. Me being, the person I am today, it's nothing but God,
mhm.
that brought me thus far and allowed me to have or obtain the success that I have. And, even down to me being an influencer on Instagram, where I focus on health and wellness and plants.
Mhm,
More importantly, it's God. You have to keep
mhm,
God first in your life.
mhm.
As long as you
That's
keep
a good
God first
quote.
in your life, you're bound to succeed.
Mhm.
So that my name stemmed from that. I seen the need for my business after
Yeah.
COVID-19.
Yeah, as believers, Christian based, well, we're not necessarily, it's not a Christian based business, like to say, it's a ministry, but it is in a way marketplace ministry. If we are believers and we're in the marketplace, then we have marketplace ministry. So whoever you come across, if your message is plants heal, then that's coming from a place of love, which is where our Christianity lies, and that's your ambassadorship in a way. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes. I mean, and I know firsthand, like I said, I went to the doctors. They found swollen lymph nodes in my breast. It could have contributed to cancer. I changed my diet. I started, working out regularly, and I went back to the doctor and I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
They were nowhere to be found.
The faith thing.
So that was when I gained, a better understanding or importance, or that's when I valued plants even more,
Mm-hmm.
which is, and I was somebody who hated them.
Mm-hmm.
I hated plants, but I asked myself, with you having the history of the health complications in your family, your mom died when you were 19, your grandmother dies at 27. When you were 27, due to health complications, how can you change this cycle for yourself and also inspire the next person? It just became very important to me, to fix that.
I just had a thought. You know how Paul um, hated Christians and eventually, was converted and he became an advocate for them. So, just like, I don't know why this happens, but something that you despise in the beginning turns out being the thing that you promote. And I can't help but think that since God knows our purpose, what he's called us to do, Satan may have a peek into that and try his best to keep you from it. So that could have been a reason that, plants were not your favorite thing before. Satan may have been trying to keep you from going into the destiny God had for you to promote wellness through plants. I just
Yeah,
look at things a little
it was,
differently.
it's ultimately sometimes you have to get out your own way.
Hmm.
We all want things to go, the way we want them to go, but ultimately they go according to God's plan. And
Always.
as long as you keep God first and allow him, to do what's needed in your life and work on you, you have to humble yourself, and work on you, you're bound to succeed.
Yeah.
You're bound to succeed.
Okay, so I want to just shout out some of the products that you actually endorse before we go on, because as an influencer, name means something. And if you're attaching your name to a product to say, I recommend this or I use it, you should too. Let's talk about some of those companies, that you have promoted. I see a list here, but if there's anything you want to start with specifically, feel free.
Okay. Well, first, let me say that, the products that I do endorse, they have nothing at all to do with my notary commission.
Mhm,
These products that I endorse as an ambassador or influence, I use them.
mhm,
I have a personal appreciation to them, and I love the products that I use, and ultimately, majority of them contribute to causes, which a lot of people don't know. For example, Sincere Sally contributes to a
mhm,
cause. A portion of their proceeds go to building houses for women and children in another country, as well as Busties provides a certain percentage of it goes to the Breast Cancer um,
mhm,
Awareness Foundation. So those things, stood out to me,
mhm,
ultimately as pertains to wanting to help people as well. I don't just help people as a notary, I help people as well, as an ambassador or an influencer, because when I go to buy these products or even promote these products, the portion of the proceeds goes to a cause that's
mhm,
important to me.
mhm, mhm. Okay, now what are the pros and cons of being an influencer? Of course, you get
Um,
to use the great products and tell everybody about the good things, but surely there's some cons to it. What might they be?
the cons are the attention. I'm honestly, as you can see, I've been smiling this whole time.
Mhm, mhm,
I'm a very shy person. I'm a very shy person. I'm very low key. I don't like attention, and I
mhm,
know it's funny to say because I'm an influencer, an ambassador, but I'm not a big one.
mhm.
I am not the influencer of all influencers. I'm not Ari. Okay,
Right.
I am not Ari. Shout out to Ari. Hey, girl. No, I'm not Ari. I'm the one for the plants. I'm a firm believer in plants, and y'all need to take better care of ourselves. We need to take better care of ourselves.
Mhm.
So the cons is the attention.
Yeah.
I don't really like the attention. I don't like, if it had not been for the importance of using the products and what they mean to me,
Mhm.
and the cause, I don't know if I do it. Like I kind of like to be left alone, but I hear a lot of people, with the good and the bad, they tell me that they are inspired,
Mhm.
because of me. They take better care of themselves. They prioritize their health.
Yeah.
They learn to implement plants into their
Yeah.
diets. It has inspired them to even want to take better care of themselves,
Yeah.
and that to me, makes me want to keep doing it.
Mhm. The
Because
motivation.
at the end of the day, like I said, with the story that I've had. It became more important to me to not only take better care of myself, but how could I help the next person?
Mm-hmm.
How could I change this cycle? A lot of people don't know, that the cycle can be broken with them. It just starts with prioritizing your health
Mm-hmm.
and being proactive about taking better care of yourself. A lot of people don't know that there's simple health care plans
Mm-hmm.
that are that can actually help aid and educate you on whether you are to get something that's passed down as sickness or disease. Like cancer, the test that I had to undergo to find out whether or not I actually could have gotten cancer like my mom were very costly, but because I
Yeah.
have a simple health plan, it was actually taken care of based on my
Mm-hmm.
insurance. And a lot of people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a history of breast cancer, diabetes, if these run in your family, you can actually be proactive in finding out whether or not you are to get it if
Yes.
you're born
Yes.
with it,
I
and
believe
it's
my
free.
doctor offers that. Yeah, my gynecologist offered, since I get my mammograms at the same office, they gave me the option to get a test concerning that cancer. So I appreciated that. I know everybody doesn't know. Using your platform, even though you're a shy person, using the platform that is so public to spread awareness about the wellness and health benefits of plants, and also about educating people about their real estate benefits, things people don't know. Even though you're shy, you're doing it. And you kind of answered my question, but doing it anyway lets us know just how important the messaging is. Because, and it also lets you know this is something that you are called to do, not just something you're doing because you want to be online. If you're a shy person and you're online, you have a calling. So, what is there ever a time when you're feeling like, I am not doing this anymore? Do you ever want to give up? What I know you said that when people say you helped me, that keeps you going, but do you have moments like that where you just don't want to do it anymore as an entrepreneur? Do you get discouraged?
Yes, yes, I do. I mean, sometimes I have to remember why I'm doing it,
Mm-hmm.
why it's so important to me. You know, I have to remember the little boy that I met on travel who was
The
recently
leukemia.
diagnosed with leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
I have to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily the money, it's the lives that I help change
Mm-hmm.
based on, my story as well as helping, my clients. I had a client who actually was bedridden
Mm-hmm.
in Chicago and they needed a notary for months. And I was ultimately able to help them and take care of their notary.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just beautiful. Growing up, my brother and I,
Mm-hmm.
we took care of our mom on her sick bed until she passed away because
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't afford a home health nurse all day long. And my client dealt with that similar. They needed a notary for months and he couldn't leave his home, him, his
Mm-hmm.
wife, and his children. And for him, I mean, he couldn't talk,
Mm-hmm.
but she said that he hadn't smiled in months.
Mm-hmm.
And when I completed his notary, he could not stop smiling. And those are the things that, I hold close to my heart. That lets me know that, what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to do and I'm making a difference.
Yeah. And as a
You know,
notary, you're helping people get over roadblocks. Even though that man couldn't talk, that smile said it all. And I not that man, but I can imagine the burden that was lifted because this simple, you had a key, is what you did. You had a key and you unlocked a door that had been shut, that he could not open. And unlocking that door allowed him to move forward. That's such a big deal. And people don't think much about the importance of notaries until you need one. And people are like on Facebook or on nextdoor.com, there's always somebody saying, I need a notary. Anybody in the neighborhood a notary? Where can I find a notary? And it's usually like in the middle of the night or something because they're up thinking about things that are blocking them.
yeah.
So notaries are just important. I see Jasmine Galloway here. Hey, Jasmine. She says, great discussion. There's a heart there. When there's a need, you feel it. That's what she said. Thank you, Jasmine, for joining. It is absolutely true because I know I have needed notaries on several occasions. I actually went through a notary certification course, and I didn't finish it because I finished it, but I didn't take that test to go ahead and be one, because I thought, wow, this is serious business. There are some rules and regulations that you have to follow as a notary, that if you don't, you could get in trouble if you are not, savvy. So I shied away from it, but I'm glad that people like you are brave enough to do it. So thank you
Yeah,
for what.
as a notary, I feel like it's important to have the right notary coach.
Mm-hmm,
Um, the great part about being a notary as well is you can kind of operate your business, the kind of the way you see fit. Everybody's different. You hear, some people are paralegals and they're notaries. Some people help with taxes and they're notaries. Some people are real estate specific. They
mm-hmm,
do notary signings. They're remote online notaries. I mean, it definitely all depends, but it's very important that you stay abreast with the laws in your state, and
mm-hmm,
you have, a notary community or a notary coach that you can reach out to, or the NNA for that
mm-hmm,
matter too, that you can follow up with, because laws change
mm-hmm,
frequently. And it's very important as a notary that we stay abreast with those, for the better of our community.
mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. So not to keep you all night, I want to make sure that people know how to reach you. Even though you're in Virginia, we have a growing group of a community of friendpreneurs. And friendpreneurship is not always going to be a small local thing. I would love to expand this community beyond the walls of Raleigh, North Carolina, into other states, into other countries and whatnot. So how can people reach you to see about the services that you offer, or just follow you online? We've talked about your Instagram, but I know you have a website as well, and I want to make sure they have that. So I'll put it in the comments while you tell me what's what.
Okay, I can be reached several ways. I can be reached by my website,
Mm-hmm,
anayassignings.com. I can also be reached by email,
mm-hmm,
anayassignings@gmail.com. I can also be reached by phone, 804-255-9324. Um, and I think that about sums it up. Oh, Facebook, Instagram, of course.
uh-huh. 804. And that's Anaya Signings on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
Okay, cool, cool. I'm going to put all this information in the caption when I post the replay, which will be on YouTube. It'll be forever out there. And I want people to refer to this. We do have notaries in the Friendpreneurship community, and I'm sure they'll be interested in learning more about what you do as well. We're going to keep having these podcasts, getting entrepreneurs to tell us why they do what they do. So now that we have tapped into your community, I'm certainly hoping that some of your people will come and say, hey, I want to tell my story too. And I'm right here waiting for them to come and do that. So
Yes,
encourage
tell
you
your
if you will.
stories, guys. Tell your stories. Use your plants. Use your plants, whether it's
Absolutely.
Nisma or Cocoa Flowers. Cocoa Flowers is a good brand, y'all. I like their oatmeal and honey soap. I like the clay mask. I
Yes.
like the oils was good too. Cocoa Flowers is good. Nisma is really good too, you guys. I like the vitamin C serum. Okay,
Yes.
that's good. I like that. What else?
You've
The face
got,
wash is good too. Y'all need to be using y'all plants. Us
yes.
minorities, us Black people, y'all need to be using y'all plants. Don't hate me, hate the plants.
And listen, you talked about Cocoa Flowers. I met Cocoa Flowers. Her name is, it's not Shannon. I forget her name. Samantha. Her name is Samantha. I met her about a year ago, 2 years ago, at a Juneteenth celebration, and she was selling her oils. I still have some of the strawberry oil. It goes a long way, and it is so wonderful. It smells so wonderful. I can just put a little teeny tiny bit of that stuff on, and it will last me all day. I love that stuff. So,
That is true.
yeah,
That is true. And it's light. I like that it's light on your skin. It's not heavy. I'm not a fan of lotion. I'm not a
right.
fan of lotion. It's very sticky. The
Yeah,
good
yeah.
part about cocoa flowers, their oils is very light on your skin,
Mhm.
very light on your
Yeah.
skin. It is all natural. It is all
Yes,
natural.
yes. She's big on plants too. Okay, thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank
your
you for
time.
having me, Tiff. This was
You're
beautiful. We
welcome.
done ran over time, girl. We
We
always have
did.
a time when we talk, girl.
I thank you for your time, because I know it's no small thing to give an hour or so. We have 49 minutes here, but that's still time. Time is money. So thank you. I hope your week
Yes,
is
thank
wonderful.
you.
Look for the replay. I'll tag you.
Okay. Have a wonderful evening. I'm getting out of here.
Okay, bye.
Bye.